Hello and welcome everyone to another glorious day out here in the African bush that we all get to spend together thanks to Africam. And we're starting off with something very, very special. Also, remember everybody to send your questions and comments. Remember, it's live. I'm Trishala and I'm sitting in an office in Cape Town, but I'm very glad to be having this insight into the African bush with you all. Now, I wonder if you can see what I can see. It looks like a log, but it's not a log. It is in fact a croc. Oh, I love crocodiles. It's just in the bottom right hand quadrant of your screen at the moment. Hi, Rolling Trouble. You say hello, Trishala. Mary Momo says hi, Trishala. Thanks for sharing your time and wisdom. Why, my pleasure. I love to spend time in the bush, even if it's virtually. And I especially love spending time with all of you as well, because we get to have some wonderful discussions and learn from each other. And here is our croc. Oh, they look like such ancient, magnificent creatures. And very loggy today, I must say. And I mentioned ancient, and we often think of them as these living fossils, a term that was coined by Charles Darwin many, many, many years ago. But in fact, they're not really living fossils. And that's because they are the product of the same amount of evolutionary change that we are. They may have changed less so, but they're still the product of all that time and effort. And in fact, their lineage is not as old as we thought. Not that I'm saying anything bad about you, old croc. You're a marvelous creature with some insane adaptations to help provide the lifestyle that you need. Hello to all, says Suki V in the UK. Hi, Suki. Cindy Shelton, you say hello, Trishala. Thank you. Hi, everyone. I'm so glad that I get to see these familiar names coming to you to join us. What was I saying? I was talking about the adaptations of this marvelous croc. Well, obviously, you see that he's outside of the water, trying to collect as much heat as possible, sunbathing. But also you can see it's got these really stiff osteoderms, scales that are very, very sturdy, to make sure that he doesn't lose any moisture that's necessary for life on Earth. I mean, they're all made of water. And so we have to make sure that we can keep that water inside of us. And scales are a great way to do that. Skin's also a wonderful way to do that, as long as it's not too permeable. But this is one of the best ways to do it. Hard, sturdy scales, or what we refer to as osteoderms in the case of a crocodile. And that's because you can see, now that we're having a closer look, there's all these ridges along the back. And what that is, if you can imagine, you take your skin, say on the top of your hand, and you pull it up. I remember I used to do this to my grandmother's skin when I was little, because you could pull it up and then it would stay there. But just like that, if you do that, imagine that, and then imagine that there is a bit of bone in there. And that's how these have grown into these osteoderms, like layers and layers and layers of that happening. And that is wonderful protection. It also allows it to really soak up that heat. Oh, we have a hello from Cindy Drake and Laura from Scotland, and Paulette Bass. I love anything Africa. It's still my dream to be here, or to go here. I think I read a quote recently. I forget who it was from, but it said, I envy people who have not been, I only envy people who have not been to Africa, for they have so much more to see, or something to that effect. It was late at night and I happened to scroll past it. But it's amazing. Oh, here's another really lovely African scene. Like, is this not a quintessential African scene? So these are gemsboks. These are antelope that I I actually have seen them in real life in Swalu. And this is at Camphor's Dam, same dam where we see the flamingos. And look at these wonderful horns and the striking markings on their face as well. Hi, Bob from Kalamazoo. You say good day, Trishala. Hi, Bob from Kalamazoo. And, oh, it's Sarah from Kazakhstan again. Hi, Sarah. You say, gosh, I miss the African bush. We'll be home for a break in a couple of months. I'm so excited for you. Sorry, this is not Camphor's Dam. This is in Skukuza. Oh, no. I take that back. I'm confused. This is Camphor's Dam. We're going to show you Skukuza in a bit. Isn't that lovely? We usually find gemsbok, or sometimes we call them oryx, in these drier areas, and you could see the grass there compared to here in Skukuza. It looked a lot drier and a lot more grassy, grassland, open areas. So here we have a Nyala bull who is in Skukuza, and you can see the vegetation is much greener, much denser. And that's the type of vegetation that a Nyala likes. And that's because they're browsers. So they'll be chomping off little bits of leaves and other greenery they can find, and you'll often find them in these riverine areas, especially in these old or dry riverbeds. That's especially where they like to be. Now this guy, something has caught its attention because its ears, can you see that moving from side to side? And obviously the Nyala can't hear me, if you're wondering. But they have very sensitive ears, and they have to because they prefer these dense bush areas, which means that the way the way that sound travels in waves, it's bouncing off all the bush around it, right? It's not like a grassland where the sound has a little bit more freedom to move in a direct fashion. Here, sound will be bouncing off the trees, the leaves, undulations in the immediate geology. So you know the riverbed, that's the lowest point. So these ears have to be very sensitive to alert the Nyala to anything that's going on. And he will dedicate a good amount of time just to make sure that there is nothing wrong, that all is good before he moves on. And the thing with antelope is that if an antelope has its head down and is eating, you know that that's a comfortable antelope. But also, they're constantly eating, right? They're always moving and eating. So when I'm out in the field and I see an antelope stop, like, it's hearing something. That something may be very far away. It may be close, but I wouldn't know. So I take my cues from the antelope, and they're very good at detecting these things because their life depends on it. Oh, I'm not sure if I'm reading this wrong, but I think Trish says, good morning, Trishala. Thank you so much for your time. My pleasure, Trish. Trish is what everybody calls me as well. And then what you say, absolutely beautiful and majestic. All the scenes we come across with these cams across South Africa are just that, absolutely majestic. And Lorraine Helen says hi from the UK, and you would love to go to Africa to see the lions. Well, we would welcome you, Lorraine. It is really a special, special, special place. It's so interesting to watch this. So, okay, it's a little bit more relaxed now, but you saw the way the ears were moving. And now we're off, and a bit of movement. Perhaps he'll get back to eating. soon. But I love watching animal behavior because you can learn so much about the environment from them. You can learn about what plants are poisonous from them, but just looking at what's left in the winter that nobody's eating. So there's so many little cues that we can pick up from animals, and especially from herbivores and antelope. And there we go. He's comfortable again. Whatever he picked up on, he seems to have deduced that he's comfortable enough to keep on resuming his eating. Oh, one of my favorites. I love elephants so much. Can I tell you that we're off to a great start today? We've started with crocs, or a croc, Gemsbok, Nyala, and now some elephants. This is really a feast for us. Look how still she is. She is the one on the right there. She's pulling back. There's a male walking towards her. Now you can actually see the forehead. I think it was a male. Let's have a closer look. Easiest way to tell, look between the legs. There we go. His forehead was rounder. And if you saw her behavior when he was walking towards her, she's still very, very still. And that sentence was a competition of how many times I could get the word still in one sentence. And now look, she's got her trunk around as well. So the more points of contact she makes with the ground, the easier it is for her to pick up these infrasonic sound, because it is vibrational. At least, especially for us, because we can't hear in infrasonic frequencies. So you'll find that elephants often put their trunks on the ground as well as an extra way for them to pick up on these sounds. So she, to me, watching her, she's definitely having a conversation with another elephant, or she's just listening to what other elephants are saying. Sometimes you'll see them move like this, or move and then suddenly stop like this, and they all stop. And it's just marvelous because you think, wow, they're all having a conversation that we know nothing about. There's a younger Ellie there to the right, busy having a bit of a play. Oh, Sarah, I absolutely agree with you. Sarah says, can we say a big thank you to Zoomies and Africam? Without them, we would be lost. Absolutely. Thank you so much, Zoomies. You really do. You're the ones that constantly have your eye on these cams. And if it weren't for you being able to tell us what's happening, is there something happening? Is there something really unique at the moment? We wouldn't know. We'd have to go through all the footage. So thank you very, very much to all the Zoomies, and especially thank you to Sarah for bringing that up. You can hear the guinea fowl. There we go. Busy alarming. Just before we started the show, there was some guinea fowl alarming on the street here. And I thought to myself, you city guinea fowl, what a different life you lead. Still very dangerous though. So behind this cow, I see there's a bit of dust being kicked up. So that will tell me that maybe there's some dust bathing, potentially, that's happening. And this calf that's interacting with me here, it's putting its trunk, you can't really see it there, but it's putting its trunk on the side of the mum's head. And that's where they have a modified sweat gland, essentially, from which they secrete hormones when we say when they're encountering stress, but we don't mean stress as in just a stressful situation. It could mean just hormonal changes. And it was touching its mum's forehead because it can then put that scent or that um, essentially like it's essentially sweat, but it's modified. It can put that into its mouth so it can detect what's going on with mum. So many different ways of communication in the bush. Hi Gigi. Gigi, you'd like to know, do I have a favorite elephant sighting? Um, I've had so many, and I feel very spoiled to be able to say that. It's such a beautiful once in a lifetime thing to be able to say. I've had so many great elephant sightings. There was a time when these elephants, this whole herd, I sat with them for a while and they became so comfortable with the car that the little calves came right up to the side of the vehicle where my vehicle on that side doesn't have a door. So just between the babies, they were only, less than a meter. And they'll look right at you, but everyone was so comfortable. It was beautiful. This is, oh, I could stay here all day. I'm going to be quiet for a moment while you watch these elephants roll in, and maybe you'll be able to hear the water as she's drinking. Oh, isn't that something? Isn't that such an, the Gemsbok walking in the grassland was such an iconic view, and now we have this equally iconic view of this elephants just walking through. We have an interesting question. So PM Devald, you'd like to know, what does her being completely still tell the bull that passed by? So that bull is quite a large bull, and this would not be that bull's herd. At least it could have been in the past, but he has not been staying in this herd because he does not look like he's about 11 or 12. He looks like he's in his late teens, maybe even his 20s. And so he would be a bull that has been following this herd. And the most significant reason for him to be doing that is because he's looking for cows to mate with. She still has a calf. And generally speaking, in the bush, mating never really seems like an easy affair. It always seems like a bit of a dance, and it's always the male that's doing a lot of work. And so by her being very still, with having her calf very close to her, she may be saying to him, "Don't come near me." But I think that she's actually talking to others in the herd because she stayed that way for quite a long time. She may have been talking to both the bull and to other members in the herd. But he didn't seem overly keen. I've seen when even they're a little bit keen, they will stop, they will smell, and she'll let him do that because she wants him to move on as quickly as possible. And in this case, he kind of walked straight by. So I don't think there was too much of an interaction between them. Oh, Sugar G Mum, 21, you say you have an elephant theme in your bathroom. You love them. That must be quite a glorious bathroom. I hope that you have a trunk feature somewhere. Oh, look, we have a little wildebeest just having a slight identity crisis. Am I an elephant? Am I a guinea fowl? I am everything. I am all. Cindy, you'd like to know if their trunks get longer with age. They certainly do. And obviously it's to their body. So they don't grow new muscles. We have spoken about the muscles in an elephant's trunk and how there's different, say, different muscle groups. So there's about, depending on how we decide to divide the muscles, when we're just looking at groups, so we're looking at individual muscles, it can be anything from 50,000 to 150,000 muscles, depending on the definition. And so those muscles all still exist in a tiny little baby's trunk, but as they grow, the muscles expand and the muscles strengthen and develop. And when they grow, obviously with age, the trunk does too. So it's all in proportion. And for really large elephant bulls, that trunk can weigh about 150 kgs, even more. That's why you often see very large bulls kind of hang their trunk on one of their tusks, just to ease the weight a little bit. I mean, dragging that around can be difficult, to say the least. Rolling Trouble, you say you love Ellie's. Welcome to the club, Rolling Trouble. I love them. There's, speaking about another great sighting I've had with elephants, there was one of these large bulls, these bulls I was telling you will carry their trunk on their tusk. And he was quite far away from the vehicle and I parked. And then he was also musked, so that becomes a more unpredictable situation. But you learn how to handle yourself. And he walked straight up to the car, very calm, so peacefully. But he walked right up to me. And there is nothing so imposing as when you see an elephant close up. Because then suddenly your neck has to tilt back, or your head has to tilt back on your neck so far just to look up at them. And you don't really realize how large they are until they come that close. And he was a huge male. And I sat with him close to the vehicle like that for about 8 minutes. And he did not move except to unfurl his trunk, which can also be a little bit scary because his trunk almost touched the car when he was trying to unfurl it. And that's also, when they're close like that, you can't just start your vehicle and go, because then you might be inducing a response from him. So you've just got to be calm and realize that your moment to run has passed. And oh, we have a nice gray go-away bird saying hi to us there. And once that moment has passed, you have two more options. One is to sit tight and be at peace with the situation, because they do feel it. I think that I've had responses from them when they really are very calm when I am calm. And the second is that you know that your car is in gear, your handbrake is down, and you are ready to move at any sign of aggression. But you have to be at peace with the fact that right now your perfect exit strategy is gone. And he actually fell asleep next to the vehicle. He was looking at me and then on his legs, he fell asleep, his eyes were closing, and he's right within a meter of the vehicle. It was stunning. Elephants are just a really lovely animal to be around. Thanks, Cindy. We're here at our Black Eagle's nest now. Cindy, you say that my voice and presence is very soothing. I think that my parents would beg to differ with you, but I tend to agree with you. At least I like to think so. Thank you very much, Cindy. Very nice. Oh, Aussie Jan too. Hi, Aussie Jan too. You say good afternoon there. It's late night here down under, and it's coffee time too. Woo! Late night coffee. I don't know if I can do that, Jan. My parents live in Australia, Jan. Maybe you should watch together. We have our black eagle chick now looking very much like a white eagle. Still covered in that nice soft down. And I believe that its parents brought it a Dussie not very long ago. And that will just be wonderful for this little chick to feed on, get nice and big. Now, we have spoken about how specialized black eagles are, given that they are very large eagles. They nest on cliffs like this, um, and they specialize in those animals that are around cliffs. So that we're talking rock hyraxes or dussies, and that over specialization can be a very difficult thing because it allows little wiggle room for for being able to adapt to different or changes in the environment. But this black eagle pair has done so well because this is in the Walter Sisulu Gardens in Botanic Gardens in Joburg, and so they live in an urban area, and they have done so well to adapt despite their specialization. And they are now raising this little chick whose beak has become very, very nice and robust. This little thing came out of an egg. Oh, it's just magnificent. Oh, Sugar G Mom 21, you say, yes, you have a recent one in there. How is the best way to tell what age they are, what age elephants are? Let's see if the elephants are still around. If they are, we can go there. If not, we click with our chick here while we chat a little bit about aging elephants. So when elephants are about a year old, they can still pass beneath their mum's belly, so they can walk, under mum. Elephants are gone. So I'll make this quick so we don't take too much attention off our chick. So yeah, up to a year old, they'll pass under mum's belly. Remember that we're talking about elephants here. And about 2 years old, you start to really where the tusks are forming, because before the tusks come out, there are little tushes that form underneath the skin there. So you really see that starting to form. Then at 3 years, you start to see, between 2 and 3, you start to see the actual little tusks poking through. And then at, anything between 6 and 15, their tusks are very significant. But when they're about 15 years old, especially if they're a male, they're almost the size of mum. And that's the age between 11 and 15 that they start to be pushed out of the herd. And they're almost the height of mum. But a cow is always smaller than a bull of the same age. Now, once they get very old, you'll start, very old, I mean like over 20, when they start to be of reproductive age. Even though it's possible for them to reproduce before that, they don't actually get that many opportunities before the age of 20. It was actually 27, but some research has shown that they actually do get opportunities. So safely, we can say 20. So after that point, you'll find that their heads get, the distance between the eyes and the tusks, there's a narrow point in between, so it has this hourglass shape, very obvious hourglass shape. And older bulls tend to have a very rounded forehead. It's best to illustrate this with actual examples, if we can actually see some elephants. So maybe next time we'll do that if we get a herd again. This has really been such a treat. Rolling Trouble, you say you love watching his nest. He's starting to get to the bottom. Oh, that's lovely. That's just wonderful. I'm sure that very soon we're going to some changes at least, but he's still got a bit of time to go before we see obvious plumage changes. But I'm glad to know that underneath he's getting a little bit darker. And the wonderful thing about these cams, especially this particular one, is we can always come back and have a look and watch this chick's development. And that's very, very special because you gain insights into an animal's life that are, one, unintrusive, and two, you get to see it all the time. You get to keep tabs all the time, so you may see very precious moments that give us great insight. Anyway, it has been wonderful. It has been Crocs, Nyala, Klemsbok, a marvelous time with the elephants, and now our lovely chick to end off with. So thank you everybody for being here again with me, your wonderful questions and your comments, and we'll see you again too. I'll see you again soon. There we go. Bye for now.